is XboxEra. We're an independent, community-funded publication focused on providing the best coverage and discussion of your favourite platform, Xbox. With best-in-class forums, a kick-ass Discord server, and awesome merch, XboxEra.com is your destination for the best news, reviews, and features focused on what you care about. With shows like the Xbox Era podcast, headlines, and a whole heap of Patreon-exclusive content, we're proud to be an independent publication completely funded by you. If you value having an outlet truly focused on your preferred place to play, you can become one of the cool kids by supporting us directly via Patreon. Just head to patreon.com/XboxEra. You get cool swag and awesome perks, and we get to keep doing what we do. Become a part of the best Xbox community on the internet and help us grow even larger. Thank you for your support. Everything XboxEra does is only made possible by the growing army of incredible Patreon supporters. Our MVPs and executive producers are all incredible people, but even more so are our grand benefactors, Croat56, Assassin, and Kevin S. All of this under the watchful eye of our lovely and benevolent CEO, Torn Raptor. If you want to become part of one of the best communities on the internet, head to patreon.com/XboxEra, where your patronage can help keep us alive for another month. Hello friends, and welcome to another episode of Xbox Era Headlines. The date today is July the 3rd of 2025. I'm Seki Mechanico, and today Jesse and I are going to talk you through all of the latest in gaming news from across this horrific hellscape of an industry. As a reminder and a bonus for our wonderful patrons, we make audio versions of these episodes available for them to listen to in their preferred podcast app. If you're on Spotify, you can link your account and listen to it right there instead. If you want to become an awesome individual and support us directly, head over to patreon.com/XboxEra. Jesse, it's us again, a third show this week.
How dare we be on the day after Xbox lays all these people? What heartless monsters are we, John? For the world to not have ended.
I literally, I just read that on Twitter. Like, you guys have some nads to do this just after, and I'm like, it's our job.
Yeah.
We didn't get laid off yet. We have to do this.
Despite what people think, we have no funding from Microsoft.
Yeah.
It's not like
they didn't cut our funding.
It's not like every other news focused video game thing hasn't made a bunch of money covering this. Like, we haven't. We're not big enough to get a bunch of clicks, but everyone's covered it because it's news. And there's also a bunch of other news that's gone on. There's many people here saying hi. We've got a couple of super chats already from the lovely Sherez.
It's the whole gang.
Yeah.
In case you missed it, we do headlines every Tuesday and Thursday. Yesterday we did do a special report because of the awfulness of everything yesterday. We're obviously going to touch on that a little bit today, but not in as great a detail. The whole show yesterday was just talking through everything that kind of the fallout and aftermath, and we'll get into it. But hello to everybody in the chat. Lovely to see you all. As always, friendly reminder, the algorithm demands it. Hit that thumbs up button if you're enjoying the show. Diving in with Sherez, first off, who has some strong words. He says, fires people, and then, hey, Helldivers 2 is coming. Fuck off, Xbox. It's fair. A fair comment. Look at the psychological manipulation that they get you with, right? Like, in one hand, they're like causing horrible things and cancelling games that looked promising, and then the next, they partner up with Sony and release Helldivers 2. We'll get into that in a sec. We'll get into it. Don't worry. Elsewhere, we also have Sherez with a double whammy here. Can't wait for Nick to cry about Perfect Dark. You can look forward to that on Saturday's show, where Nick will be joining us for the Xbox Era podcast, episode 270. So feel free to tune in then at the usual time. He is in the chat expressing his devastation. I feel you, Nick. It is bad times. And last we've got a super chat from Teddy P, who says Xbox's wild week continues. Sony is full third party. Well, now let's hold your horses there. But let's dive into that. Let's dive into the news.
They're medium third party because their medium games are going everywhere.
They've dipped a big toe in. Boop. That's right. Helldivers 2 in a surprise announcement today from Arrowhead, who hosted an hour-long stream with an hour-long countdown just to whack the 2-minute trailer at the very, very end of it, with the CCO of Arrowhead announcing that, yes, Helldivers 2...
Nick was wrong.
Managed Democracy glory is coming to Xbox, the Series X and S on August 26th.
Ooh, it works on the S.
Great news. Yeah, it works on the S. The optimization is there. I for one, like, if I'll appreciate we've got a lot of Xbox fans.
We got a lot of super chats and things. My God, they keep coming.
Yeah, there's people. We'll dive into them. I appreciate if this is an Xbox centric channel, and everybody watching right now might be mostly a single console gamer. But I am telling you, Helldivers 2 is one of the best multiplayer games in recent memory. I certainly think it's one of the best that Sony have ever released. And it is, I always described it. You can watch our old Hangout stream where Jesse and I took it for a spin. It feels like the most Xbox-assed PlayStation game ever. And it feels right that it's coming to the platform. So it's a really great game. It's going to be interesting timing because we'd obviously love to do a review. For this on the Xbox platform, but August 26th is just after Gamescom, but it's like 4 days after Gamescom, so we'd probably be able to squeeze some stuff in. I'll be back on the 22nd.
We'll
you know, it's just whether our good friends at PlayStation Publishing will send us any code.
I have literally never heard anything back from them when I've reached out in the past because they and by the way, this is the first time they are directly publishing.
Yeah, not, MLB doesn't count. That was Sony Interactive Entertainment.
So no, that was MLB. MLB published.
Was it MLB direct?
Yeah, MLB. The show was published by MLB. Still is. Marathon published by Bungie. Destiny published by Bungie. But this is the first one. The first time it says PlayStation Publishing LLC on the Xbox store, which is very interesting. $40, like always. It's well worth it. It's a big commitment. It's $120 between a group of friends, unless you game share. But it's a lot of fun. It's really not fun solo. It's okay to learn the game. The matchmaking, not fun most of the time because you're in with the sweats who are very much looking to do very high
manage democracy, mate.
Yeah, they're looking to just do very specific things, and I don't think there's in-game chat. Is there? Which is one of the negatives that I remember. Like, I don't remember there being in-game chat, which really... Is there?
I can't recall. Yeah. I can't recall. I wouldn't have used it anyway. I would have used Discord.
I know, and but that hurts it because then if you're matchmaking and adding people in, you need to talk to each other in this game. That's
true. I will say though, like I've got some close friends that play this a lot. Like they play it 3 or 4 times a week, and have unlocked everything. It's a wonderfully addictive game if you can get a good crew together. So, as always, I would recommend to folks, if you're looking to jump in with people, we have a wonderful community at XboxEra. You can head to our Discord, discord.gg/XboxEra, or to our wonderful forums, forum.xboxera.com. You can dive in, get to know people, make some friends.
Okay, it does have in-game chat. Good. I'm so used to FBC, which did not.
Yeah. But yeah, Helldivers 2 coming to Xbox. It is obviously worth mentioning. Nick initially said that talks were happening. Then he retracted it and said apparently they fell through. Looks like he was wrong. So he was right and then he was wrong.
He will only take credit for being right on Twitter, though. So just get used to it.
Absolutely on that one. Absolutely.
Yeah, just the base fact that people would say it would never come. Those are the ones I think he's going after. He's like, what do you mean it would never? Like, Sony's made it very clear with their live service games that they want to make money off of them, and the way to do that is to get them in more places. I think there's smaller games that have less of a chance of truly just taking off on one platform, like Lego Horizon, which didn't take off on either on 2. Like Lego Horizon has been rumored for a long time. I
am fairly confident that Lego Horizon
is it. Patapon is going to, like, when they're bringing back smaller stuff, they're in the feel around phase, and then they'll find out that money's nice, and I think you will keep seeing more things come around. They will always have that mindset. They're not going to do, like, there's not Astrobot coming or God of War or anything like that, but once those do get PC versions, you'd be fine next gen.
I would say as well, like, I know that there's probably a temptation, if you're a subscriber to the console wars, and really the only console wars you should care about is ours. If you're a subscriber to those things, there's probably a temptation from some of you, no names, to go around, oh, PlayStation's going third party. Like, call your jets. Microsoft just fired 9,000 people. All right, they haven't earned any goodwill from this, and this isn't a point scoring exercise. I'm just saying.
It is for many people. That's all they care about. Game discussion is 1/100th of games coming discussion.
Yes.
People care about talking. People talk this up nonstop until it comes out, and then they'll barely ever mention it again. We got a lot of super chats on this, though, John.
Yes, Lucius Augustus, member here for 16 months, whopping, says the console wars are over. The war for Super Earth is here. Spider-Man being on Xbox next would be huge. The loss of jobs still stings, though. We have Chanan Israel, who says, can't you guys at the very least take the day off after Microsoft fired all of those people and cancelled so many games? Like, I don't know what you think our job is, but we're a channel that covers games and this platform, and it is, in our view, our job to report the news. We jumped on and did a late show yesterday to go through everything to keep people informed and to discuss what's going on in what I feel was a fairly reasonable, level-headed way.
It was mostly angry, but it wasn't yelly.
I am angry. I'm still angry about it. But like it's not a lack of respect. Like, our heart goes out to every single person that's lost their role, to the studios that had been shuttered, to the third parties that have been affected because their publishing deals were shut down. But what does us not going online to talk about it do for you?
Yeah,
or
it's just we have Xbox in the name, so we shouldn't. But the people won't go to like Kind of Funny and say, why are you guys doing, funny Death Stranding streams while this is all happening? It's like, because they're not responsible. It's not like there was some tragic life loss event where a lot of people are like, oh, we'll back off for a bit, like something terrible happened, let's not do fun streams because no one's going to be in the mood. It's unfortunately, a lot of people lost their jobs. It really sucks, and we got to talk about it event. Like,
pretty much.
And there's also a bunch of good. There's also a bunch of good news that we have today.
There is good news. We're going to be talking about good news today. So, Helldivers 2 is good news. Let's talk about that. Corkenstein in the chat says PlayStation saw Xbox making bank on their platform and knows they can't stop their games being played on future Xbox hardware. Why fight when you can make money? I mean,
it's
this
to a
is
point.
Obviously in play a long time before. This is probably in development for like a year plus. Like Nick got wind of it like what, a year ago at this point?
It was last April.
Yeah, so
I think the clip was.
But I don't disagree with the point. It really comes down to how Sony feel, because regardless of how Microsoft fans or Xbox fans feel, releasing your games everywhere does come with risks. It comes with an erosion of your platform's identity. Right now, obviously, Xbox are trying to redefine what that identity is. That's on them. That's their problem to solve. But Sony brass might think like, yeah, okay, we can do this maybe a year and a half, 2 years out from the game being out, and that's the appropriate time, because the tail of sales on our platforms that we did release on have fallen off completely. Now let's make a bunch more money for relatively little risk.
And it
whether
ignores
that's
the
going to
fact
be their mindset going forward is to be debated, right? Like, I don't know. I don't think so. Not yet.
It also ignores the fact that like their identity is the place where you just can get everything. Like, as much as people want to make it like, oh, it was always about their first party, it was always about the fact that they were the default place where you could find every big game. And so, doing especially timed exclusive later ports isn't going to hurt that. And I don't think they've already talked about going day and date on PC with their live service games moving forward. Like, that is a commitment they made, not for a single party, but for live service games, a day and date. Man, what a good throw by me. Commitment on being on PC, which would mean they are on the next Xbox console moving forward, day and date, via other stores. Like, where in the long run, what can they do other than say thank you for all the money? most of the issues. Like they would love, like everyone, they would love to be everywhere making all the money they can, but they are worried about the fact that they don't have the PC setup that Microsoft does. They don't have Play Anywhere. They don't have a PC store. They're not built for that. They don't have as much content coming all the time. So they need to do things very differently, which is focus first on their box. Other stuff comes secondary.
And you still see that I guess lack of scale on Sony's side comparatively to Microsoft. Like you'll see it on Microsoft as well. Like some studios are not built to ship or don't have the manpower to ship on all platforms simultaneously. So they don't. Ninja Theory didn't. Double Fine isn't. You know, there are those, you know, South of Midnight didn't. Will we see those games go in a year's time? Because, you know, that studio can then start pre-production on their next thing, but then a big chunk of the engineering team can, you know, be porting that across. And that's where those time delays come in. And you think about the scale of Microsoft's operation, you know, someone made the point earlier that the 9,000 people let go is actually around the size of Nintendo's entire outfit.
Yep.
Just to give you a sense of scale between the two companies, right? Like, yeesh.
I know somebody, Stasis was saying it was 3,000 to 4,000 in Xbox, but then people I know that would actually know are more like it was closer to maybe 1,000.
Yeah.
But even then, Microsoft would still have like 19,000 people in the Xbox division. Like it's still enormous.
Sherez, another super chat, a very kind one, I might say. XboxEra takes no breaks. They did a special hour episode of Headlines yesterday. Yes, we did. To cover the news. This is why these people are the best.
Boots.
It's Boots, everyone. Hello, Boots.
But yeah, yesterday's podcast.
Yes.
Was a special focused on all the layoffs and everything. Today is getting back a little bit of layoff news and everything else that we didn't talk about.
Yes,
which was a lot.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely. Oh my god! And another super chat
This guy
from Brandon
works a lot.
Who says, "Hello, gentlemen. I was laid off from X Defiant being cancelled, so I understand what these people are going through. This industry is brutal.
Yep.
Because of this industry, I changed careers. Yeah, I don't blame you.
Yeah.
And obviously, hello to Amanda there who popped in to say hello.
And says hello.
And Boots is here. Look, the whole gang's here. Okay, it's harder for me to move my mouse with the cat here, but
I have a dog over there.
Yeah. Wow.
Man, it is
X Defiant.
Yeah.
Cool little game.
It is
Hey.
Oh, she saw the other cat.
Yeah, they had a little tussle.
The crazy thing here is I thought it would be Arrowhead publishing it or something. That it is just PlayStation for the first time. Feels even different. Like it doesn't feel like Marathon, doesn't feel like MLB. It feels like they've now said, okay. I'm curious because the thing Nick had talked about was that who was going to pay for the port. So I was almost, when I was looking, I was like, I'm going to say Xbox is publishing it, but no, it's just Sony. So who knows how that went? I do see a question in chat. Do I play college football? I would if they ever sent it, but they have not. I have asked them to, because I've been looking for something to cover, but there really hasn't. The beginning of July is very slow. The middle of July takes off like a rocket and doesn't let go for a long time. So the next thing will probably be Tony Hawk, but I don't know that I've ever gotten an early code from Activision. So it'd probably be day of and then long stream and do a review. Though it's friggin' it's Tony Hawk. I can do it in 3 hours. What person?
I don't know if this person on Twitter is the same as Jon and Israel in the chat, but they said it's not a weird take to suggest that we should have taken the day off and not podcasted.
You could tell them we're not associated with Xbox.
But they've said it's not a weird take. There's nothing to champion or pat Xbox on the back for this.
That's what he thinks. He thinks that.
Did I miss a meeting?
No, these are the people you just block and move on. There's nothing to be gained here. You're just going to be confused and feel stupid because they will pull you in.
Yeah, it's a weird world. The internet.
It's the thing. It's like the people who call Windows Central fan site because they don't like Jez's takes. And it's like, no, Windows Central is backed by a $1 billion enormous publisher, one of the biggest on the internet, called Future. Like, they're not a fan site. It's whenever people see like a platform focused on or in a name, they assume fan site, and they don't bother actually looking into anything else before they start insulting people. One of our co-founders hates the platform, is a gigantic Nintendo fan.
It's true. He's a big Nintendo fan.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay. Let's dig into things.
But yeah,
obviously,
I guess
the
biggest thing was we didn't make it very clear yesterday was a special edition just for that. We didn't have like fancy graphics or anything, and I ran out of space trying to fit everything into the name of the show. But yesterday was its own thing.
Job losses.
Yeah, yesterday's episode was a special report, and today's is regular headlines.
Yeah. And yeah, let's dive into all of those things. So we covered this in detail yesterday, as Microsoft made massive layoffs across their entire business. Obviously, beyond affecting Microsoft itself, across multiple teams, it also affected many in the Xbox division, affecting multiple game studios. So we had, God, there was so much. It's almost like I don't really want to relive it, but 9,100 plus people reportedly lost their role within Xbox. We saw Everwild, Rare's next game that was announced at XO in 2019, and a follow-up trailer at 2020's show cancelled, with Greg Miles reportedly leaving the studio, along with executive producer for Everwild, Louise O'Connor, and other folks within Rare. So that is really, really, really rough times. We saw Perfect Dark, a game that I know many fans here were looking forward to, myself included. Completely cancelled, and the initiative disbanded. The studio has been shuttered. That sees Daryl Gallagher and team made redundant from.
There was a
Microsoft.
pattern. Everything that got cancelled, the main person also went. Just kind of which was interesting.
And like I've hesitated to say it out loud because immediately you're defending. I'm like, I've seen a lot of people calling for leadership to be, made to account, and I'm like, kind of.
It was very specific.
Not Defense Force. I know people want to see Phil Spencer, Matt Booty,
Phil and Matt
pay for it.
It's more Phil and Matt because Sarah oversees the platformy, not game direct stuff. But yeah,
I understand,
and I get why.
But
it's just, but there is heads are rolling.
Heads did roll, and like as we pointed out on the show yesterday, there is a pattern in terms of what types of projects were cancelled.
For their own.
The other one being ZeniMax Online Studios Project Blackbird, an MMO that was in development since 2018. Everwild was announced in 2019, but was obviously in development before that. Perfect Dark announced in development from 2018 when the initiative was founded. These are all games that are in 7-8 plus years development time at this point. And Microsoft had enough of funding them. And I get that everyone's angry and emotional about it. I am too. But I also put your business hat on. I can understand it.
If you want to speak about if you want to talk about business, I'm putting a link in chat thanks to CJAD93. Someone can very quickly go and get themselves some Patreon XboxEra membership for a month. Thank you, CJAD.
Wow. How many did he gift?
I don't know. He just says here, put this link in chat.
He just says there's some gifts. Oh my God. Well, thank you very much, CJAD93.
That's the fan tier as well. Yeah, CJAD93. Thank you.
What a legend. All of these job losses are horrible and brutal. I don't know. There's not much else I can say about them. I know that there's, we've seen, and there will be hot takes, and there will be a reckoning. And I do feel that there is a little bit more like, we all wish we could understand a little bit more about why wasn't this tackled sooner? Why did you go forward and give us what now seems to be a smokes and mirrors Perfect Dark trailer that apparently was not real gameplay.
It was real gameplay for a slice that didn't represent anything they actually had as a game. Yeah. But
like Halo 2's infamous new
which you can play now. Barely. You have to follow it. You have to follow pretty severely. But it's and it depends, I think, on how people feel. And if they want it to not be Xbox's fault, they'll say, oh, well, obviously they were lied to and blah, 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 and all this, and that's why they were tricked. And then people who hate them will say, like, well, they're just idiots and incompetent, and we'll never know. Like, for legal reasons, for decorum reasons, for business reasons, we will never know, and it's very frustrating. The shitty answer.
It makes me mad. And as someone who like grew up on Perfect Dark, that was like one of my childhood games, like that I was just obsessed with. I am so gutted because it looked, what they did show looked so good. Everwild as well. What they showed looked really good. ZeniMax Online, like it was never announced, so like people are, oh, I'm mad, but like, what do you, I've heard developers refer to it as one of the most awesome projects they've ever worked on. We'll never know what that is. I'm sure maybe in a few years something will leak, something will release, and someone will show it off. But right now, we just don't know.
Yeah, like if your project was in the works for a long time, and it still wasn't close.
Yeah,
they took it up.
It's just
for
been
first
the worst.
party, third party publishing deals. I don't think had that. I think they might have had more just straight up timeline, not what the quality of the product is as much.
Yeah, well, we've seen, and I'm sure there's going to be more fallout over the next week or two, but we've already seen today Romero Games, apparently it's now come to light that Xbox was funding whatever they were working on, and they've already now had their funding pulled at a high level. They shared a statement on Twitter from Brenda Romero saying that, look, we learned last night that publishers cancelled, so Xbox has cancelled our funding, along with several other unannounced projects at other studios. So those have yet to come to light in any full detail. Obviously, we'll report on that when they do. But that strategic decision from Microsoft has led to immediate layoffs, etc., at the studio as they now hunt around to decide, what can we do next? And they're based in Ireland. It's a really harsh turn of events for that team. And I can only imagine how stressful that must be. Have a publishing deal ready to rock and roll. You get your money coming in. You're going to get to make whatever you're making. And to just have that rug pulled out from under you at the whims of money men that decide that, we've got to do this now for reasons that you or I or people watching can't really fathom for a $3-4 trillion company. Like, we don't get it. You could pay everybody still and carry on, but you choose not to. Like, that's the reality of it. Is like, it's so unfathomable to me that you can have that amount of money and not still take some risk. And that's the one thing that I feel like out of this. And it's weird to say it because we've still seen projects like South of Midnight release. We've still seen things like Hellblade 2 release. We've still seen things announced like Keeper from Double Fine, where Xbox is still funding these quirky, original, smaller boutique games. But is this them doubling down on more and more known quantities? And I've heard that from publishers. It's worth saying that. I've heard that from publishers. I went to DICE, I went to GDC, and the general conversation, all of that survived till 2025 from last year. Now it's all about known quantities, sequels, established IP. That's where the risks are less. So
that's where consumer spending trends to lately.
Yes. So it's
like people say trend chasing like it's always bad, but trend chasing is also, it's a trend because it is the way things have gone. You can just badly trend chase and be way too late or get things wrong. But trends are trends. It's like, it's just I know people keep asking us, why don't you do a console wars game? It's like, man, I cannot imagine how hard it would be to try and find money to make something for anything right now in gaming. Sounds like a nightmare.
It is. And, I sat there and I was thinking about this yesterday, and I had a brief discussion with some of our community on the Discord this morning. I think of Rare, and I'm like, well, okay, they've been in pre-production and production for Everwild for 7 or 8 years at this point, if not longer, right? Because it was announced in 2019, but it could have been development from 2017. Like, I don't know. What are they going to do now? Right, because immediately they're on Sea of Thieves, but they've also got a ton of support studios working on Sea of Thieves as a live service game. And the only thing I can think that makes sense for Rare to straight away get doing is Sea of Thieves 2. because you release Sea of Thieves on legacy platforms, Xbox One. You've now brought it out to PlayStation 5. It's on PC, but you're limited by the Xbox One in terms of what you can do, and the engine is older. Are we going to see an Unreal Engine 5, Sea of Thieves 2, bigger oceans, bigger boats, more players? I would like that, but it also goes very much against what Greg Mayles, one of the reportedly legacy designers and game designers that's been at Rare for 30-something years. He was leading Everwild. He's left now, apparently. He was very much against redoing things and doing sequels. They were always like, let's do new things, which is one of the main reasons that Banjo reportedly has never happened, at least from Rare, is because no, we don't want to rehash what we've already done. But maybe now that's the only way to survive, is to, okay, well, we've got to see if Thieves was and is successful. We know now the formula. We have the engine built. We know what we could do. They probably have many ideas for what they could do next. Would a Sea of Thieves 2 make sense? My brain says yes. Does this also open the door that, like, okay, well, we need to make something. Let's do a Banjo remaster because they can now, right? I don't know. I don't know what the conversations are that are going on Rare. That's just me having some conjecture and some theorizing. I would love a Sea of Thieves 2. It's my favorite game of last gen, but let's see. It's a rough time. And I think we're going to see more of it as this year progresses. Hopefully that's the last of it, at least for now, from Microsoft until January when they do it again. But it's a rough time. The only other team I wanted to mention, and I think this was reported by Tom Warren over at The Verge, is that as well as studios being effective, some of the sources that informed Tom said that the Xbox user research team had been hit particularly hard, with nearly half of that team affected. I don't have any numbers in terms of what half means. Is it 20 people? Is it 50? I don't know. But Tom Warren says here that it's a key team that focuses on ensuring quality across Xbox games, the platform, and developer tools. Even a product lead for Xbox family and child safety had been laid off. So that's not particularly encouraging to hear, considering how occasionally, and it hasn't happened so much recently, like I would say even Starfield, which I expected to have bugs because it's Bethesda, launched in a fairly good state, and that's probably because of that Xbox user research team and the quality assurance teams that worked on that title. What's that going to do for future products being released on Xbox from Microsoft? Do more with less? We don't know. But heart goes out to everybody.
Use new tools to be even better, aka force Copilot on everything.
God. Anyways, elsewhere, Blizzard were also affected. They announced changes to Warcraft Rumble, effectively saying, hey, after much deliberation, hard decision, we're not going to be making any new content for Warcraft Rumble. They will continue supporting the game with updates focused on regular systemic in-game events and bug fixes, but there's nothing new that's going to come.
There is some good news. This is the last sad news.
This is the last sad news. So if you're a Warcraft Rumble fan and you were hoping for more to play within that world,
I tried. I don't think there were that many Warcraft Rumble fans, sadly.
No, I mean, maybe that's
not to be mean, decision. But I don't think that one took off.
Next up in news, Lonely Mountains Snow Riders has hit 1 million players. This was a game released by Megagon Industries early this year onto Xbox Game Pass. I believe I reviewed this one. Thoroughly enjoyable title.
You believe.
It's now hit 1 million players, which is good for them. It's a really solid game that built on everything I loved about Lonely Mountains Downhill, which is also fantastic. You should play both, but particularly the silly cooperative skiing is a lot of fun in Snow Riders. So I would recommend checking it out if you've not played it before.
Come on, internet, you can do it.
But congrats to that team. What else have we got? Okay. Remember a couple of, I think it was like 2 shows ago. It might have been on Thursday.
Yeah, it was on Tuesdays.
Tuesday this week. Canada or Nintendo announced that they were going to be raising some prices in Canada for various Nintendo
starting in
products,
August,
except for the Nintendo Switch 2.
So it was the prices were going up starting in August, and they let us know closer to it. But people realized if you just went in and tried to renew, you could see all the new prices for Canadian Nintendo Switch Online. This is due to
Whoops.
tariff discussions between the U.S. and Canada, like tax and all that stuff, kind of falling apart.
Yeah. So briefly, 1 month has gone up from $5 to $6. 3 months has gone from 10 to 12. 12 months from 25 to 30. Family memberships from 45 to 50. Individual memberships for the Switch Online and expansion pack have gone from 64 to 70. And a family membership for the same is 100 to 110.
Well, same price
Happy
as Mario
calendar.
Kart World.
Wow.
Yeah, it's that slow, quick, boop, 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 up. Yeah, I know a lot of people are saying Contraband's gone from the Xbox YouTube channel, but we'll see. I mean, that's the other one that's been vaporware forever, so who knows?
Is it really?
Yeah, it's been privated, I think.
Oh, jeez. Wow. Okay. That's a big hint that Contraband's dead, right? Have we heard anything from Avalanche?
No, the only thing every once in a while they just talk about how they're working on the game, plugging away. So yeah, no confirmation, just a privated video, but it does happen a lot with videos that have music in them. But the timing on this one, you would think, is questionable.
That is not good. Yeah. Awkward. By the way, I did release a little video this morning. I'm not sure if anyone had a chance to check it out, but with Jesse, we both got to give it a little go. We got to check out a little bit more of King of Meat, which is a new game, party co-op platformer brawler that has you going into fun dungeons with lots of puzzles and beasties to fight. It's being made by Glowmade Games, published by Amazon. It's coming out later this year, and we got to go hands-on with it a little bit more and share some more, but I also got to experiment with their new create mode. It turns out that all the dungeons in the game, the developers have given everybody the tools to make more dungeons. So there's a huge user-generated content side to the game. And I had a little play around with it. And as someone who's dabbled quite significantly in Halo Infinite Forge, I was pretty impressed. This is a nifty little modular system that's fairly simple to use, but surprisingly deep in terms of the kind of challenges that you can create for other players. As always, something like this, King of Meat, is going to be completely reliant upon the community that forms around it. And if the community doesn't show up, it won't last for very long. But they've made a good game that feels good to play. Like, I found the platforming and the combat fun, responsive, it's tight. The create mode is very, very deep, but surprisingly easy to use. They've made a good game. Time will tell whether this one will take off or not. But I don't think it's got a release date yet, but it is.
No, they've been previewing it for a long time and showing an awful lot.
Yeah, so we'll see. Next up in news, Jesse, you're a Street Fighter fan. Like, what's going on here? The guy from Murderbot? Like, what is this?
David Damstalchian, who's a really good actor, is your new M. Bison.
Okay.
It's a really weird... I don't know what the hell is going on with this movie.
The casting on this movie is strange to me.
Yeah, I'm gonna, try and find a picture of him for people if they want to know. God, I fucking despise Instagram. Go away.
He's a picture on the deadline link.
He's a guy. He's one of the that guy that a lot of people will know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me just grab this real quick then. Dude, he was in like The Dark Knight. He was the kooky cop in the thing when he was looking. It had the Rachel Dawes name badge on. David Damstalchian. He's been in a lot of stuff. He was the
was
lead.
He in Late Night with the Devil?
Yeah, he was the lead for Late Night with the Devil. He's a fantastic actor. He's got an M. Bison look, I guess. And still, somebody got really goddamn mad at me when I said M. Bison is Balrog in the U.S. Like, yes, I know. So there's a trio that rotates in the U.S. So U.S. to Japan. M. Bison in the U.S. is actually Balrog in Japan. M. Bison in Japan is actually Vega. M. Bison in America is actually Vega in Japan. And Vega in America is actually Balrog in Japan. Like, they rotated all those names because Mike Bison, they were afraid they were going to get sued. So they changed M. Bison from being Boxing Man to being called Balrog, who they also swapped with Vega. It's confusing, I know. Don't yell at me.
Okay, I am officially confused. So
yeah. So M. Bison, as you know him, he was actually Vega in Japan. And Vega, as you know him, was actually Balrog in Japan. And Balrog, as you know him, was actually M. Bison in Japan. So I don't know why they changed multiple like that, but they did. Because Balrog, I think, is like bullfighter. Or not Balrog. Balrog. I don't know. Whatever.
I mean, I don't care.
It's all annoying.
It's going to be terrible.
But people yelled at me anyways. But this is a really weird movie with really weird casting.
Yeah.
He's really good. He's a really good actor in a movie that has a mix of good and questionable actors. He's not muscular. Like I think he's normal. He's like 6 feet tall.
I'm wondering if he's going to wear like a prosthetic suit. Because I've recently seen him in, I swear he's in Murderbot.
He is.
The Apple show.
Mm-hmm.
And he's kind of weedy looking in that. Yeah. So like, I'm really struggling.
Yeah, he's not a muscle man. But this movie's really weird and it's full of other muscle people. But yeah, I don't know.
Who knows? He gets to wear that big suit, right? So it'll just hide him.
I do love the muscle suits because nobody's muscles would actually shoot through any type of actual armored suit.
No. It's very strange to me. But there you go. If you're looking forward to the Street Fighter movie,
I don't know who is.
It's coming. It's a thing.
I would be surprised if anyone was really excited for this Street Fighter movie with how weird the casting is.
Yeah, it's an odd one. Next up, speaking of TV and film, Neil Druckmann has announced he is stepping away from the Last of Us TV show to focus more on Naughty Dog. He posted via a social media post that said, "To our Naughty Dog community, we wanted to let you know that studio head Neil Druckmann delivered the following message to our team this morning. I've made the difficult decision to step away from my creative involvement in The Last of Us on HBO. With work completed on Season 2 and before any meaningful work starts on Season 3, now is the right time for me to transition my complete focus to Naughty Dog and its future projects, including writing and directing our exciting next game, Intergalactic: The Heretic Prophet, along with my responsibilities as studio head and head of creative. Co-creating the show has been a career highlight. It's been an honor to work alongside Craig Mazin to executive produce, direct, and write on the last 2 seasons. I'm deeply thankful for the thoughtful approach and dedication the talented cast and crew took to adapting The Last of Us Part 1 and the continued adaptation of The Last of Us Part 2.
Been weird to see or interesting to see how much people's enjoyment of that show shifted during Season 2. Because it was like hailed as the best adaptation during Season 1, which I thought is pretty good. It was pretty good. It really felt like it was cosplaying Prestige to me. And I don't know.
Season 1 was great. Season 2 is I just stopped watching. I just got very bored.
But that was essentially when the story went from being a collaborative effort at Naughty Dog at its height to being Neil Druckmann.
Yeah.
And also, when it comes to Intergalactic: The Heretic Prophet, if it was called Intergalactic or if it was called The Heretic Prophet, I think that's a lot better than those two combined. That's my hot take.
I appreciate your hot take.
Thank you.
I'm going to insert this one because I think it is a big deal, and I don't remember us talking about it, but it's certainly large enough to be mentioned, and that is the Stop Killing Games initiative. Now, when we reported on this via Cengiz a couple of days ago, the petition had marked 721,000 signatures ahead of its 31st of July deadline.
Mm-hmm.
It was over 900,000 yesterday. I think it's going to hit 1 million, or if it has already. And this is obviously, it started as a challenge to publisher Ubisoft for shutting down the online services of The Crew. It's now become a proposal to require publishers that sell or license video games to consumers in the EU, European Union, my turf, or related features
not your turf anymore,
sold for video games they operate. We're still part of the continent, man. To leave said video games in a functional and playable state, i.e., you can't just turn it off once you've sold it to someone. And now I think because of this, it will get to debate within European Parliament.
It needs fixing. It's really good in aim, but I was reading a lot of thread from one friend of the channel, Thomas Sala, talking about how most smaller games use third-party things you have to pay for to keep running. In fact, most of these, even the crew and all that, you have to pay for the servers to keep going.
Yeah.
So who's going to do that?
Yeah.
And you can't just tell people to hand over EXEs or anything like that, because, again, you can give them all the files, but they would then have to... Who's going to pay for these servers to run? And who's going to pay to make like peer-to-peer a thing in all these games that it doesn't support otherwise? Like it's a good initiative that needs some fixing. Yeah, because it's a really hard question to actually answer. Where it's like, yeah, you can have this game up and maybe you could do training mode forever. We could do that. But if this thing has to constantly shoot to all these servers, who runs those? And with what money?
For that?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. There you go.
There are legal issues where what if someone's fishing for people's information or trying to be a creep to kids on your servers you have to keep up? Like, then you're legally culpable type of stuff. So
yeah,
it gets very complicated.
I'll put a link in the chat if you want to go check out the petition. There is a UK one as well that's also nearing 100,000 signatures, which is then when it gets debated in our UK Parliament. But more to come. More to come on that, I'm sure. Next up, Sony have announced the next generation of PlayStation merchandise as they continue to celebrate 30 years of the PlayStation brand. There's collaborations with Funko Pop for an Astrobot Funko toy. There's new hoodies and clothes and crisps and McCain frozen chips in the shape of your PlayStation controller buttons. It's delightful.
It's an ugly hoodie. Or a tracksuit. That's a tracksuit. I guess they're supposed to look stupid.
Yeah,
Okay. I saw this come up last night and I was like, right, man. If there's one thing in gaming that I think is the dumbest thing, it's calling these the sacred symbols. I will never, ever accept that. It's the stupidest thing.
It's very culty to me.
But like, Astrobot Funko probably actually sell a lot of those. Cool. Tracksuit's ugly. It was weird to have a blog post for like 3 things, and one of them is symbol-shaped food.
Yeah. That's what
I found it a little odd.
Put it in amongst the hay bales, yeah? All right, well, there you go. Next up, some more good news for a small independent team. Phasmaphobia is excited to announce that it's sold 25 million copies across all platforms. The developers say thank you, Ghost Hunters, for all of your support from day one.
Our review from the code I gave to Proven should be coming any day now. It's only been a year and a half.
Was Proven meant to review that?
I gave him the game.
Oh. They've also shared a roadmap blog, which they posted back in February, that kind of shares what else is coming for the rest of the year. Maybe we should do some of that in our summer subathon, a bit of Phasmaphobia. Should we dive into that?
I could maybe ask him for more copies.
Yeah, we'll do a stream.
Don't have any money
Isn't there
about
a VR version where you can talk and stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, we could do that.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
That'd be a laugh. Okay. We'll figure that out. Chat. Oh, friendly reminder. We're having a summer subathon in order to fund the remaining pennies to secure our travel, etc., to Gamescom. I can confirm that thanks to everybody that supports us and their efforts, we have secured accommodation and we are going. We just need to try and recoup a little bit extra to just cover some flights, and then we should be good.
Well, there's the flights, the food, the fact that we aren't putting out any content generally while there and making any money. So there's a lot where the
you
trip
say that, mate.
is expensive.
I have a feeling we'll be sitting down at the Schnitzel house doing some news and stuff.
Yeah, we won't have a home base this time to make it a little harder.
No, we won't have a home base this time.
Yeah, because last year we had the Gamescom booth for Console Wars. Not this time.
Excuse me.
Unless we quickly raise another $6,000 and buy a booth.
I doubt it. I don't want the stress of having a booth.
No.
Thank you.
25 grand and we can hire people to run it.
Yeah. Last bit of news, and I think this is good news.
It is, actually. People are very excited.
GO Media has sold gaming news site Kotaku to Keleops, the European media company that acquired its tech news site Gizmodo about a year ago. This is reported by Axios. Why does it matter? Well, the sale leaves GO Media with only one remaining property, black culture site The Root, marking the near complete unraveling of its once broad portfolio. GO Media suck. Kotaku's editorial staff are fairly happy. They will remain in place, and Keleops plans to hire more senior talent, echoing its approach with Gizmodo. CEO Jean-Guillermo Cleese told Axios.
John Cleese.
Yeah, they purchased. They declined to share the purchase price of the all-cash deal, so it was
$50.
a cash deal. But they said in the short term there was no immediate strategy shifts, as they haven't yet met with Kotaku's current editor-in-chief. He says that he likes to trust people and knows that people in this industry have really good ambitions. The market is really challenging, but I know they want to do their best. So
good news.
That is good news. Yeah,
another £10 it went into the old funds there. It just went up, or a couple.
Thank you very much. I have to say, actually, last Tuesday, I think Dave Dog donated to tenner as well. So big thank you to you as well. And that is, boys and girls, ladies and gents, that's the news. That's all the news. That's it. I know it's been a rough week, really, and I'm sure that we'll hear more over the rest of
jingled some keys, John. Helldivers 2 is coming.
They did the whole, we know we fire people. Helldivers 2. Don't fall for it, people. Be mad still.
The casuals don't. They'll be like, oh, that sucks. I feel bad for those people. But humanity is out of sight, out of mind, and they don't know those people. They don't know what they were working on because they're not as in tuned as us. And not everyone is just built on empathy when their own lives are so goddamn hard that you can't always do it. So the main thing to take out of all this is continue to never treat corporations as friends, never stand for them, never fight for them online. They don't care about you. They don't care about the people that work there. Enjoy their products as a consumer. Hold their feet to the fire on everything, because they are asking you to pay them with your money and your time. Don't also give them your free will and fight for them on Twitter and shit like a simp. Thank you. Show's not over, audio listeners.
Fuck's sake. Would you tell me I'm muted before
you get mad when I tell you? I stop telling you because you get mad every time.
I normally realise. I clearly didn't realise there. Last bit of breaking news. The Elder Scrolls Online development, so ZeniMax MMO, that was cancelled, was apparently doing well and scaling up as the Xbox cancellation actually blindsided staff. This was unexpected for them. This is reporting from Rebecca Valentine over at IGN. IGN has learned that the entire team for the MMO, codenamed Blackbird, had been cut. Speaking to multiple sources familiar with the project, IGN has learned that Blackbird was to be a new sci-fi IP. It had been in development since 2018. The length of time it was taking to make the game was expected, and ZeniMax was building an entirely new game engine for it. In the last year, sources tell IGN that pre-production was going well, and the team was actively ramping up in the hope of moving into full production soon. Xbox had approved the scaling up, and some individuals were being moved onto the project from other teams from Elder Scrolls Online, as well as some of the people absorbed from the shuttering last year of Arcane Austin. One source recalled being told last year by the head of Xbox Game Studios, Matt Booty, in a meeting that Xbox's closures of Arcane Austin, Tango Gameworks, and Alpha Dog Games were done for the purpose of justifying increased headcount for other studios that needed it, including ZeniMax Online. But now every person working on Blackbird is gone. The project has been cancelled. Studio head Matt Fiore has stepped down. This is brutal, and I can see here as well Jason Schreier corroborating on that awful website Resetera said that I think the general public might have said, oh no, not another looter shooter, but we're not talking about QA testers here. We're talking about Microsoft execs that were blown away by it. And this isn't a project like Perfect Dark or Everwild, where it was in development hell. I'll have more later today. So keep an eye out on Bloomberg for more information on ZeniMax Online's now cancelled game.
Curious how much like pre-production and 7 years of it.
Well, it doesn't
then
sound
hits
like it was
the
in full
no,
production.
but then it hits the money people who are like, okay, but how close is it? I think if it's more than 2 years away, if it's like 3, 4 plus, no matter what state it's in, they're kind of at that point like, nah, because they don't know or care. They're just like, no, that's too far away and it's too much more money before anything's made. And it's too many people. And they just look at the sheer numbers and not but all the game people say it's amazing. You should keep doing it. Yeah. We'll never get it. We'll never know. But people are like, how can Phil go see Everwild and say no a few months later after saying it was great? It's like he might still think it's great and it was going to be great. But even as big as his position is, there are people above him who are just such strict, money-focused people that if there's anything at all that's going to take too long and it's already been in development that long, nope, cut it. They don't care. Would be a guess.
Yeah. Something like that. All right, that's it. That is now officially the end of the show. Big thank you to everybody for tuning in as we recapped the news. And if you felt weirded out that we should have not done that for some reason, I think that's a you problem. We'll be back on Saturday for episode 270 of the XboxEra podcast with our good friend Special Nick. And obviously we'll return on Tuesday with the next episode of Headlines. Until then, friends, try and take a break, actually play some games. Don't read about them or talk about them or just engage in discourse on forums. Take a break from chatting shit and actually play some video games. Maybe jump in with some friends. Chill out. Try and have some fun.
You made people sad because most don't have them.
Oh, well, in that case, head to discord.gg/XboxEra where you can make some. I would love to see some people playing some games this weekend. I know I will be where I can. I do have my kids though. But we'll be back on Tuesday and on Saturday. Until then, stay safe, be good to each other. We'll see you next time. Ciao for now.
Goodbye.
They burned down the gambling house. come out